Hi everyone, it's Corey Wesley, the Chief Curator of Milton Wes Art. I am thrilled and excited to share this upcoming interview that I had with Jordan Barker. He is a New York entrepreneur and artist that I have been following here in New York, and was very fascinated by his aesthetic and the style of art that he creates. So I had an opportunity to visit his studio in Chelsea and sat down with him for a little one-on-one, so I hope you enjoy this interview. Remember to live colorfully through art. Hi everyone, it's Corey West here, coming to you live and in living color from New York, Chelsea to be exact. I am very excited to introduce Jordan Barker. He is an amazing artist. He has welcomed me into his studio, and I wanted everyone to see his art. So Jordan, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, and thank you for coming to visit my studio. I'm Jordan Barker. I am a self-taught artist. I started painting during COVID, actually, at a time when we were forced into isolation. And it was then that I realized how important touch is to human connection, which is why I started to paint with a lot of texture as a way to reintroduce the sensations of touch back into my life.
So Jordan, we talked earlier about art and how it's helped you transition and work through anxiety and things of that nature. Share with my audience on one of your pieces and how that has helped you through that process.
Excellent. Which one is an important one? I think that really one of the most important aspects, is being able to overcome self-doubt. And actually, if I want to highlight one piece, I think it's this one right here, called Mirrors. Obviously, I apologize, there's a couple canvases blocking that. And why that's important is that was actually initially one of my favorite pieces that I made. I loved it. It was hanging on my wall, and as I was approaching my second art exhibition, it just wasn't up to the quality that I thought it should be. It was flat, I didn't have enough layers on there wasn't the texture that I normally use. So I finally garnered enough courage to actually modify it. And through that process, guess what? I completely screwed the entire thing up. But the point of the story is, I went at it, I tried it, and through that process, and through constantly working it, eventually the outcome was much better than what the original painting was.
And Jonathan, I mean, when you start a art piece, what goes into just starting? Because a lot of artists struggle with starting art pieces. What do you do to start a piece? Is it inspiration? Is it someone having a conversation with you? What kind of stirs the energy in you to create art?
I think it's truly a meditative process that I genuinely can't find anywhere else. When I'm painting, I literally will lose hours of time. You're just hyper focused. I'm able to visualize what something is, and oversee colors, and I'm able to see what would work, and you're just fully embedded in this process where nothing else really matters. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just feeling and doing. So yes, getting started initially can be sometimes one of the hardest things to do. And what I would strongly advise, and what is my process, having never doodled, never drawn, I don't hold a pen properly, I recommend, and what I like to do is all my art comes from within. So typically I'll start with a canvas, and incorporating latex paints and aerosols I found to be very helpful because it's much more free-flowing. So I'm able to express myself or let out whatever emotions I'm feeling onto the canvas. And then once I feel like I've let out enough, I take a step back, I look at what happened and what I did, I rotate the canvas, and I start to see where there's some level of composition or some sort of a shape or some sort of a structure, and then that's what I start to focus on embellishing.
Great, and so Jordan, I would like to ask you about this piece behind you, which I really find to be interesting, and something that very much stuck out to me. It says best friend. Why is that so significant to have that on this piece? Because I find it to be a very smart piece.
Thank you.
But it has meaning to it, and I wanted to know what the meaning behind it was.
Well, that one came out of nowhere, my friend, and now you're getting into it. Again, you're putting me on the spot. No, in reality, this is actually a really important piece because this is actually the first time I ever actually painted with intention. And I really, at the time I was going through a breakup, and it was funny. I called my mom, and it was months after, and she mentioned, like, why don't you paint about it? And, gave me some ideas, like, you know what, that's a great idea. So I went home and I envisioned the feelings of what I felt, and just went to town on the canvas. And this actually went through many, many iterations, but I found it to be a very cathartic feeling.
So my 2 more questions for you.
By the way, side note.
Yes, the best friend.
That's why it's emphasized on and. So there are little hidden things in here, and obviously, I still got my heart. Much love to go around.
And I see enough.
Yes.
So you had enough, maybe.
Or maybe nothing was ever enough.
Nothing, right. So to young artists out there, what would you say to them on being inspired, starting their art, because it can be a very discouraging field sometimes because people may not gravitate to your art? What bit of advice would you give to a new artist?
It's interesting. I think really, there's so much advice, but for starters, just get out there and actually do it. I tend to be a perfectionist sometimes. I tend to be a little bit of an overthinker, which is great and can have a positive impact in certain areas of your life, but it could also hold you back. So sometimes just doing it, just getting started, give yourself micro goals. Paint for 5 minutes, and you'll see that you'll naturally start painting for a lot longer. It's something that's more manageable. Have fun with it. And I also think it's important to really put it out there. The number of people that actually have high quality art, but nobody knows about it. For some reason, they're afraid to put it out there. But if you never put it out there, no one will know that it exists. I also think it's important to question things. Being a self-taught artist, the way that I learned was by messaging other artists, asking them about their process, asking them about their pricing, even going down to Blick. And I used to go there, and anyone with a paintbrush or buying supplies, I would ask them, like, hey, do you paint? How do you do this? And I would show them pictures of what I wanted to create. How do you make this color? And I think that that's a really important aspect of this.
And Jordan, my last question to you. You mentioned intention and purpose. Have you found your purpose in the creative field of art?
I think it's ever evolving. I have a vision of where I would like to go. I'm going to continue to create original art. I'm also starting to sell very high-end limited edition prints, which is at a much lower price point because I want to be able to give people access to my artwork, especially if they're not ready to purchase the original work. And going forwards, I think that there's a lot of important life lessons and deeper meaning behind my work that can really inspire a lot of people. So at some point in time and when I have scale, I would really love to be able to showcase this and hopefully inspire others. And if you could impact just one person's life, then that's more than enough.
And I definitely agree with that. And Jordan, can you tell everyone where they can find you? How, if they wanted to commission you, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jordan Barker Art, or my website, www.jordanbarkerart.com. My contact information is there. Feel free to text me, DM me. I'm here to talk, and I would love to welcome you into my home gallery.
Well, thank you, Jordan, for inviting me into your home. And remember, everybody, you remember my motto, live colorfully.